I did read a lot of books in 2020, and considering that we went on lockdown and everything that happened with the coronavirus, I would have thought that I would be reading more, but that was not the case. So obviously there are a lot of books that were published in 2020 or have been on my 2020 TBR that I haven't gotten to, and I'm going to be sharing that with you today. Maayong Pasko, guys! My name is Ezra and welcome back to my channel. Obviously, today is Christmas Day as well, so yay! Merry Christmas! And I hope you're spending this day with your family or the people that you love. So anyway, this is the very first post in a series of posts in the top 10 of 2020 photo challenge. Now, I know it's a photo challenge, but I decided to do a video version of this as well. So if you want to look at my photos, it will be on my Bookstagram. I'm gonna leave a link in the description box below. So the top 10 of 2020 photo challenge is hosted by Kimberly Faye Reads, Dragonfly Reads, Kate Reads, Molly's Bookshelf, and Fire Whiskey Reader on Instagram. So I'm also going to leave a link to their Bookstagram accounts in the description box below so that you can go and give them a follow. Alright, so there are a lot of books on my TBR for 2020. In fact, I think I'm over 200. And as I'm filming this today, I have only read 94 books, so obviously I have about 100. So just to let you know, I'm actually tracking the books that I have on my TBR for 2020 on my Goodreads bookshelf marked 2020 TBR. So this does not include all the other TBRs from the previous years, just books that I want to read in 2020. So this also includes books that were published prior to 2020 and of course books that were published in 2020. And I also included books that I have received ARCs for that will publish in 2021. So overall total, I think I'm over 200. So without further ado, I'm going to share my 10 books that are on my 2020 TBR that I have not gotten to. And I know for sure that I'm never going to read them by the end of the year. So hopefully I will be able to read this next year. I am planning to put these books on my 2021 TBR as well. So let's get started. So the very first book that I have on my TBR that I've had on my TBR for months is The Madness of Lord Ian Mackenzie by Jennifer Ashley. I have heard a lot of great things about this book from a lot of romance readers, and I finally decided to put it on my 2020 TBR. Unfortunately, the audiobook is nowhere to be found. I can't find it on my library. I can't even find it on Audible. So I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so I don't have the book for this, and I want to read this on audiobook. So because I don't know where to find a book for this one, so I think I'm just gonna move over and just read it next year when the author releases an update on where the audiobook for this specific book is. The other books in the series for the Mackenzies, they do have audiobooks and they're available at the library. They're also available on Audible. So I don't know. Now the next book that I have been meaning to read this year is Dragon Unleashed by Grace Draven. I absolutely love the first book in this series, and this book actually follows a different couple, and I think it's in the same world as her previous, as the first book in the series. So I think this is the Fallen Empire series, and I really, really want to read this book. I actually won a copy of this book from Charlotte at Charlotte Loves to Read on Instagram, and I still haven't read it. I think I received this maybe a couple months ago, so this is actually one of my highly anticipated reads of 2020, and I did not get to it. So I know I'm horrible. So the next book that I meant to get to is One Hot Italian Summer by Karina Halley. And unfortunately, I haven't gotten to read this. Karina Halley is a new to me author. I read her books. I actually binged her books this year. And I was really hoping to get to this book, but I wasn't able to. In fact, the last Karina Halley book that I read was actually an arc, and I was a little bit disappointed by it. I didn't like that book. So I kind of held back to reading this book, but I have heard good things about it. So I do like Karina Halley's writing. So I think I'm going to read this possibly next year. Hopefully the audiobook is available by then. So the next book on my list is a book that I recently added to my TBR this year. Actually, I added it in November, end of November this year, because a lot of romance readers and Bookstagrammers have been telling me, and also Booktubers have been recommending this book, and it is Wolf Song by TJ Klune. So this is an LGBTQ paranormal romance, a shifter paranormal romance, and I am still waiting for the right time to read it. They did tell me that this book is very emotional, so I don't think I can handle too much emotion right now. So I'm actually waiting for the right time to read this. So I think maybe in January or February, possibly when the coronavirus / the pandemic has kind of died down. Hopefully it will die down by then, and then I can start to read this book. I know it's not related to the pandemic at all, but I think right now I'm not in the right headspace to deal with something that's too emotional. But who knows? I am a mood reader, so maybe I'll pick it up before the end of this year or in January. We'll see. The next book that I've been meaning to get to is A Heart of Blood and Ashes by Mila Vane, and I have heard a lot of great things about this book. I think that I was going to read this year, but I wasn't able to. I actually won both copies of this book, because I won a Bay Crate box, and both of her books, book 1 and book 2 in this series, was included in the box, and I still haven't read it. I plan to read them soon, and I still haven't read it. I know I have had this book on my TBR for a while now. I think this released last year. So this book actually released this year, and book 2 also released this year, so I'm really way behind in the storyline of this book. So I hope to read this soon. I know I'm never going to be able to read this at the end of this year, or before the end of the year. So I'm definitely having this as one of my TBR books in 2021, hopefully January or February, again, depending on my mood. The next book on my list has been on my TBR for a while, especially when I found out about this book. I've had it, I think last year I had it on my TBR already. I did get an arc for this book, but I haven't read it because I decided to go with the audiobook. Unfortunately, the audiobook for this book was a disappointment. So the book that I'm talking about is You Had Me At Ola by Alexis Daria, and the cover of this book is gorgeous. I've had this on my TBR. I actually listened to a couple chapters already of the book. Unfortunately, the audiobook narrator pronounced a word wrong, and I got triggered so much. I actually wrote a blog post about it because I was so triggered. I think audiobook narrators need to do better. I actually did a Google search to see if somebody did a video on how to pronounce that word, and there is a few. Plus, come on, there are a lot of Filipinos here in America. I can't believe nobody asked, or the narrator even didn't do anything, didn't do additional research on how to pronounce that word. I mean, I think, and this is not from a small mom and pop audiobook audiobook company. This is from a big publisher, so I was really disappointed. All right, so the next book on my list is To Catch a Queen by Alyssa Cole. As you can see, the cover is absolutely gorgeous. It actually came out in December, and because I had a lot of books to read already, I knew I couldn't even get to this book. I specifically did not request for an arc of this book because I know I was not going to read it in time for it to publish. So I'm planning to read it next year or February, I don't know, depends, but I'm gonna get the audiobook for this one, and I've heard a lot of great things about this book, and of course it's an arranged marriage, enemies to lovers. I'm here for it. All right, so the next book on my list is actually another book that is on my highly anticipated reads, and it is Crown of Darkness by Beck McMaster. I spoke about this book a little bit, I think it was in one of my videos. I think I did speak about it, but Crown of Darkness, this is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and the main characters are Fae, so this is a fantasy romance, and I absolutely love book 1 of this series. I could not wait to read book 2, but for some reason, the release of book 2 was not on my radar. I'm gonna blame coronavirus for this, but it was not on my radar, so I didn't know that it was out until it was too late and I already had too many things to read. And of course, I also was not in the mood to read any of the, fantasy / magic type of romance right now, so I'm going to, probably pick it up next year. So the next book that I plan to get to in 2020 is another book on my highly anticipated reads, and it is Queen Move by Kennedy Ryan. So you guys know that Kennedy Ryan writes amazing books, and I actually met her last December, so it's been about a year now. When she came to LA, so we met her last December, or I met her last December, a group of us met her last December, and she was talking about this book, and when I introduced myself, and she was like, oh, the name of my newest book hero is Ezrah. So yes, so yay, this book is a childhood romance, second chance romance, and this actually involves a single dad, and the hero's name is Ezrah. So I need to read this book, but again, I don't think I've read another book yet with the main character Ezrah. I know there's another one. I know there's one book that I was supposed to get to. I forgot the title right now, but there was supposed to be one book that I was going to read, and that hero's name is Ezrah too, and it's just hard for me. So let me know if it's hard for you to read books with the same name, main characters having the same name as yours. But anyway, this book has been on my TBR since I found out about it, and I still haven't read it. I think I'm going to go with the audiobook for this one. I think the audiobook narrator is the one that narrated her Grip series, and the guy narrator is hot. His voice is just so dreamy. Finally, the last book on my list that I should have read in 2020 is a book that I've heard a lot of things about, and it is Deal with the Devil by Kit Rocha. So this book, I actually purchased this at the Ribotas when I stopped by there. I think it was in July or August when they were open, when we were allowed to go to when we were not in lockdown. So I grabbed this book. I absolutely love the gorgeous cover. This is a post-apocalyptic romance, and I have been waiting to read this book since I found out about it. Unfortunately, I did not get into it. I'm hoping that I'll be able to read this soon, possibly 2021. All right, those were my books that I should have read in 2020. Please let me know if you've read any of the books on my list. Please let me know which books I should read ASAP. And let me know which books that you didn't like that I mentioned on my list as well. Leave a comment in the description box below and we'll talk about it. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in another video.